I'm not implying that Skyline Chili was started by cannibals, but I'm saying something. Shh. It's okay. No one needs to know except for the 1,200 people in the chat.
Coach. Actually, here's something, John. In a previous.
I just love how AC fan. Excuse me, I love Skyline Chili. It's delicious, I know. I'm not saying that it's currently made by cannibals, but
there's the potential for it to be the case.
Exactly. There's the potential that the origins could have been cannibals. You never know.
Nice, my controller's not working again. Thanks, PS2. Apparently I need... Oh, there we go. Apparently I need to get a new PS2 controller.
So I have a question. Back in your previous stream, John, did you say you didn't like Donkey Kong 64?
Compared to the country games, I don't like it.
Really?
That's valid.
I think the country games are a more solid game, even though obviously 64 has more content. And it has a lot of things I appreciate about it, but I'm just more of a fan of the country games.
That's understandable. But I guess just for me, though, I think the way they took the Donkey Kong series into the 3D world in terms of 64-wise, I thought it was a really good idea. Then again, I played the ever-living shit out of that game. I actually did try to speed run it once, but I think my best time... with 100% completion, I think my best time was like 6 hours.
I never played Donkey Kong 64. And at some point I'm going to give it a try. I just never got around to it.
One game that I always wanted to play on the N64 and never got a chance to play was Jet Force Gemini.
I played a little bit of that.
I liked it, but at the same time, it's a game I would never go back to. Because that game, that's another game that had so much content that you kind of get sick of it by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't the game also like $70 on release?
I don't remember. I got it for Christmas, so I have no idea how much it was actually worth.
Because back then, N64 games ranged from like $39 to like $69, even if it was still just the game. I remember specifically buying Star Fox 64 for the Rumble Pack.
Most 64 games were like $60, so.
Yeah.
I remember back when like N64 RPGs on the SNES were like $120. Chrono Trigger I remember being over $100. Same with Final Fantasy 3/6.
I've never played Viewtiful Joe. Either of them. I own one on GameCube. But I love the adults or kids new game.
Most people you talk to will say that Viewtiful Joe 1 is the stronger game. And I'm kind of inclined to agree with them. But I haven't given 2 a fair enough of a shake, to be honest. So that maybe there's something in 2 I missed that just didn't grab me the way 1 did.
Our red hero, Viewtiful Joe, blazed through movie land like a comet and defeated...
Either way, they're both fantastic games.
I've never touched a Viewtiful Joe game.
Most people haven't, to be fair, but I recommend them highly. Viewtiful Joe 1 is a fantastic game.
If memory serves, I think Brain Scratch Commentators are actually doing a playthrough on it.
Nice. Well, I recommend at least checking it out. If honestly, this is one of those games that I would LP if I was better at the game. Like, I would never want to. I would never want to let's play this game unless I was super good at it, which is why it's usually only on streams.
This Viewtiful Joe 1 and I think 2 even more so just really kick your ass overall as games.
I think Viewtiful Joe 1 is fairly cheap. Like, I don't remember paying a lot for it.
Oh, I thought it meant cheap as to like cheap deaths, but no.
No. Like financial, I think it's like under $10.
Well, remember, it's on both GameCube and PS2, so.
I'm talking GameCube.
Okay.
Yes, it's like if you want to play Killer 7, you gotta get it for GameCube because only chumps will get it for the PS2.
Thanks for calling me a chump.
Oh darn it! I'll send you my bets. I'll send you my bets.
The only reason I didn't get Killer 7 for GameCube was because it was 2 discs. I just wanted it on one. That's literally the only reason.
That is a valid reason to get on the PS2. For me, it was the fact that the performance was slightly better on the GameCube in other regards, like load times. But
yeah, I didn't. I think I either didn't realize that point or it just didn't bother me at the time.
I was really obsessed with that game by the time it came out. In fact, the GameStop in Chicago that I got the game from when it came out, the guy running the store had the Japanese import version on the PS2 in the shop because he had a modded PS2 in the shop. Because this was back when employees at GameStop were cool and could get away with having modded PS2s in the store, and no one cared. And I was able to play the Japanese version and compare it to the American release, which was strikingly different in a number of ways.
I rented Killer 7 a couple months ago and loved that game. I remember just being utterly confused half the time, but in such a good way.
Yep. I mean, if you are able to get on board with what the game's premise is, it's fantastic.
John, you said you bought Killer is Dead, but you just didn't get a chance to play it, right?
Yeah, it's sitting on my to-play pile. And I actually knocked a game off that list now, so I'm happy.
Which one?
Halo 4.
Really?
My friend G and our buddy Yao, the three of us got together and we blasted through it on Legendary on co-op. We did it in like one night. We started, I think it was Friday night actually. We started and finished the game.
John, I would never expect you as a Halo person.
I am a big fan of Gears of War more so, but yeah, I'm a big Gears fan and a decent fan of Halo. I played a ton of Halo 2 back when Xbox Live was a thing. Halo 2, Crimson Skies, High Road to Revenge, and Rainbow Six 3 were my games of choice on Xbox Live.
Did you ever play ODST?
No, I haven't played ODST, and I've only played the multiplayer of Reach.
ODST as kind of a side game, or kind of a little sequence within the story. I think it's fantastic. I highly recommend it, along with Firefight. But goddamn, the Vidmaster achievement. Oh, F that thing.
I heard some of the Vidmasters were kind of ridiculous.
The Vidmaster for for ODST is you have to complete Firefight on, what was it, round 4, level 4 on heroic or legendary difficulty. And if you get all the Vidmasters, because I remember this was such a huge rave, that if you get them all, along with the ones in Halo 3, you would have gotten the Recon armor set.
Sylvia, when the heck did you change your clothes?
That was the one where you're like on fire, right?
No, those that were on fire, I think those were for developers only. Recon was just a certain armor set.
Oh, okay.
But I remember the only way at that time in order to get Recon was if you had to beat a developer, if memory serves. But yeah, the sad thing is I haven't actually, I have beaten Halo 4, but I haven't put as much investment time into it as I did like with Halo 3.
Halo 3 was very recently the free game on Xbox Live Gold, so that probably got like a revival of users.
But still, I mean, it's still a lot of fun, really. But I wonder though, because I know they closed. I know the Halo 2 servers for those are finally gone. I wonder if the Halo 3 servers are still up.
Halo 3 is still active. Halo 3 is definitely still active.
Oh.
Halo 2 they shut down because it was on the original Xbox, so they had to close those servers.
Right.
The Xbox Live is still continuing. It's the same servers on each console.
Alright, I need to be transformed to get double jump. That's what it is. Okay.
Go ahead, Sketch.
My experience with the Halo franchise is sort of limited because I only played multiplayer for either 1 or 2 during college, mostly in the same capacity where my friends played which one was it? Played GoldenEye and Time Splitters during high school.
Oh god.
And I played a little bit of Halo 4 with some friends doing co-op, but I didn't play more than like an hour or so of it because I can't commit through it because I'm not that good at first-person shooters. So incidentally, the 2 launch games I got for PS4 for $50 were Killzone Shadowfall and Battlefield 4.
Nice. I picked up Battlefield 4 and Need for Speed Rivals.
So we got to hook up for some Battlefield 4 action, only because I can tolerate Battlefield 4 from one. I'm a big fan of DICE as a technical development studio, and I kind of wanted to see what the experience was like on there. And I have enough friends at my workplace who would want to see what Killzone is like on the PS4 that I just got it because I was getting 2 games for $50 anyways.
Did you do a Target promo?
No, it was an Amazon promo. It was a combination of 2 promos. I pre-ordered the Watchdog launch edition to PS4, which then got rolled back to just a regular PS4 because Watch Dogs was delayed. Then they gave me a $10 promo to go with that because they said here's for you because we had to change your pre-order. And then they did the buy one get one free promo, so I bought Battlefield 4 and got Killzone for free for $50 as a total thing.
That's cool that Amazon gave you $10, even though that problem was nothing related to them.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have this really cool launch game with the PS4, and we're gonna we'll just delay it in spring. Don't worry about it.
Well, and
Yeah,
the only
that game is on the marketing for the boxes and everything.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, the only downside is that I had pre-ordered in June for a launch edition. The thing was shipped out on Wednesday, and I'm thinking because of the whole train derailment that happened in New Mexico or something, my order didn't get to me until today. Because by Friday, it had just gotten to Jacksonville, Florida, which was still 2 hours away from me. So I didn't get it on launch day. I could cause a fuss with Amazon, but I don't know whether it's an Amazon problem because I think it's a UPS problem. Because they shipped it out on Wednesday, and it was listed as having 2-day shipping, but...
I like how anyone who gets the launch day 360 specific launch day ones get a special achievement.
And it's all like engraved on their system too. Like, hey, I had a day 1 system. Go me.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter because the funny thing was like all the people had with updating and their PS4. I literally just set it up to Wi-Fi and it downloaded the update in less than 3 minutes.
I like how the Xbox requires an update to play games.
Wait, what? Seriously?
In out-of-box, Xbox One will not play games.
That is insane. Why?
To prove that you had an internet connection at least once.
Oh, right. Actually, you're right. I remember that now. Shit. That's still stupid.
I thought they reversed that.
That they did not. The one where they have to check every day, they got rid of. The one you still need a one-time connection.
That's uberly retarded. And excuse my words, but still.
Uberly? I like how you
incorporate
Uberly as part of your line work there.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's apologizing for the retarded, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubted that you were apologizing for Uberly because...
I don't know. I could see all those Ubers out there being super insulted.
Man.
I know, right?
He's so biased against us Ubers, man. Us, a non-existent demographic, man.
Could be the developers of the Uber app. You never know.
The Uber is going to be the Ouya's predecessor.
Oh, jeez. Okay. In terms of gaming gear, I'll bring to Magfest. I will bring the Ouya because that is like nothing to pack.
Yeah,
Isn't
like I said,
just
get some
Xbox
Xbox 360 controllers with the USB connector, and you're set.
That's true. Because actually you only need one of the USB, the wireless USB connector, right? Or
I'm not quite sure. I've only used wired on them, to be perfectly honest.
I have to see what that. Main thing I like about the the wireless connector for computers, they can hook up one and hook up 4 controllers, which is useful. I think. I will say, I'm happy with the PS4 controller from a feel standpoint, but there's no API for it as a controller for computer or otherwise.
I just saw an article like today about that. I could try to find it, but I literally just saw an article today saying how to get it connected to the PC.
Yeah, I actually was able to plug it into my Mac earlier. I was able to play some Rogue Legacy with it, even though the button mappings were completely wrong. It was still kind of workable.
Here, I'll link it.
This game says totally I am awesome. Now I can sleep all the night.
There you go. It's from PC Gamer. How to get the DualShock 4 on the PC.
But I love the feel of the DualShock 4. I mean, it's a nice size and fit. So,
how are the thumbsticks? I honestly hate the PS3's thumbsticks because I like them concave instead of outward.
Right. I think it's just interesting that this is the actual first physical change to the official controller since the original, pretty much. Of any sort of major note, outside of pressure sensitive buttons and stuff. I mean, there's no start and select button. There's the shoulder buttons and the regular face buttons and such.
That link says that it's way better to use it with the USB cord.
Yes.
So they recommend that in the article I linked to.
Right. Because basically, like, the wireless connectivity doesn't quite work as well, and again, basically you have to do some sort of ad hoc API sort of rerouting to make it work properly. But yeah, it is a nice feeling controller at least, though.
Well, Poker Joker. That is a major change. How they went from 2 shoulders to 4, but like, the look of it was physically the same since the PS1.
Right. I mean, once you got the 2 analog sticks in the PS1, the overall fit and general shape of the controller didn't change significantly. The functionalities of some of the points, like the triggers and such, and the pressure buttons, I mean, the changes in the nuance of the controller from 1 to 2 was pretty dramatic, because I remember the pressure-sensitive face buttons mattering when you were playing, like, Gran Turismo.
Didn't the original PS3 controller not have DualShock?
Yes, that was just called the 6-axis.
Right, because they claimed that the vibration of the controllers interfered with the 6-axis or some other thing, even though it was basically a patent dispute that was happening at the time. And then they they basically conceded and put it in. I mean, basically, a lot of the problems with the PS3 was part of really bad PR management, and this was definitely that was part of it.
It also launched for like $800.
It was $600 at first.
I thought it was the higher end one was $700.
Right. And the thing was, it's funny because Sony has reversed a lot of the PR issues. So it isn't necessarily they're doing things like better. They just have been avoiding a lot of bad PR and been able to hit on very minor but strong PR points.
Well, after that whole situation with security.
Microsoft, right.
No,
well, the security thing, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely that, too.
Sony's E3 conference this year was the single greatest conference I've ever seen out of a company.
The fact that they actually did really good in their presentation,
they literally,
or the fact that they smacked,
they shit on Microsoft, that they destroyed Microsoft's press conference.
I would say that they played it as the following: they let Microsoft make the first move because they could react in whatever way would be appropriate, and it seemed like chances are they didn't need to change their message too much because Microsoft's moves, unfortunately for Microsoft, were staged out in the worst way possible for Microsoft. Because the features of the Xbox One, some of them are objectively bad, but some of them were more bad because they were poorly messaged more than anything else, I would say, than just that they were strictly bad.
Do you remember the petitions that went up after for Xbox?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No. The one I was thinking of specifically were the petitions to counter the petitions. The ones that
Yep,
wanted
I
the
remember
DRM in.
Well, there were certain features. Like again, if you sold the DRM, like this is basically Steam, but it's just on the Xbox, and you sold it that way first, then the negative parts about it would have probably gone by a little bit softer than they did. But the way they let off on it was just so harder to sell at first. You know, it's like how, for example, Sony didn't reveal that you had to pay for PS Plus to even do online multiplayer until they got to the video about.
Oh, are they changing that now? I didn't even know that.
PS4 you had to pay for internet.
Right, they did. They revealed that when they showed how to share games on the PlayStation 4, because on that it mentioned on there PlayStation Plus required for online multiplayer as small text underneath, but they never officially said in a clean fashion you need to buy PlayStation Plus to do online multiplayer, because again it was clever PR handling, whereas Microsoft poorly handled the PR stuff. So
I didn't know they changed that policy.
But even then, PlayStation Plus is cheaper than Xbox Live Gold. You don't need it it's $50 a year as opposed to $60. You don't need a PlayStation Plus to use Netflix and those other little things. So basically, they're able to mitigate the damage of that by delaying when they say it and leading up with a lot more of the stronger positive news everyone's kind of hitting on. So
yeah.
And
Xbox
also
Live has turned awful. I'm first to admit that Xbox Live has become nothing like what it used to be.
Oh yeah, it started off as like almost like a pointless feature set, and then they basically, by doing the instant library, especially with that, and rallying hard around that, and then saying, well, now you need to buy to play games, but also we've been doing this instant library thing for a while. I think they've made the value of it make it rather nice, and so.
Yeah, no, they played it very smart. I'll give them that. It's almost like they were planning from the start to set it up all like this.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely the case. I think their way of getting it to be very marketable and make it basically to say, look, we're doing the same thing as Live in this particular regard, but it's not the same thing as Live in all these other regards.
The thing that annoys me the most on Xbox Live is like, I'm paying, well, I don't pay because I've had fucking prepaid cards for a year and a half now.
Right.
But people who pay still get ads. It's like, why am I paying this money to still get tons of ads on? And like, the layout of an Xbox 360 is like home, social, friends, then games. It's like, why is games that far over?
Well, go ahead.
Well, what's interesting though is that they're trying to make the PC gaming. They want to try and make it more what would appeal more to the gamers instead of, like their whole home entertainment system. But at the same time, for me, I always look at a game console as a game console.
Sure.
Not my huge giant social network thing that I could do. Oh, hey, I'm gonna update that I got an achievement on here, or make my Xbox do that. No, screw that.
That's the thing. It's just like they need to properly maintain a balance between their hardcore and their casual. And I think they're going way more casual because there's a lot more people there.
I would argue that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sketch.
My argument is that this was basically just part of a long-standing plan from Steve Ballmer to unify the Microsoft experience across all platforms. This was predicated by the unification of the user interface on Windows Phone, then translating that to Xbox, then translating that over to Windows. And then by trying to unify the UI and the user experience and making it all Microsoft was one of the big goals, and making the Xbox kind of the hub of the entertainment media living room experience. That's sort of where the social stuff comes to play and otherwise. My problem is I think they sort of overcalculated the value of that, and that's sort of been kind of making it difficult, where that's why I see so much of their E3 conferences being spent on the Connect, home entertainment, movie watching experience side,
Or the fact that they market it to where it's like, oh, anybody can pick it up. It's like,
Mhm.
no.
Right.
And what's even more sad is like, and kind of sorry to say this, but when you look at most of the games that are really well known on an Xbox, I mean, when you think of Xbox, what's the first game genre that usually comes to mind?
First-person
Well,
shooter.
Bingo.
It's the same with PS4 though. It's like when I think of PS4, the first thing I think of is first-person shooter with Killzone.
Well, I mean, I would say that Sony has better brand variety because they have Infamous as a franchise, they have Uncharted as a franchise, they even have stuff like Flower as part of their overall IP branding, and it's not just Killzone with PS4. Because
I heard something about the new Infamous game that it looks terrible compared to like what everyone was expecting, or
I can't really.
That's
comment 'cause I
news to
haven't
me.
looked at it. Yeah,
Like, I
haven't
saw
heard
the
anything
demo.
about
It
that.
looked nice, but I mean, it's also not coming out till March, so.
Right. So I wouldn't necessarily know what the goal is. I mean, for me, I'm generally, I know people who work in Sony of America in the music department. Here's an interesting bit of history. One of the lead music managers for there for a while was Clint Bajakian, who's also one of the main 3 composers who worked at LucasArts back in the day for stuff like Monkey Island 2, Full Throttle, and otherwise. So he was kind of the main guy responsible for like how well done the audio production was for a lot of the Sony games on the America side. So like he was responsible for the orchestra outsourcing for the music for Flower and Journey. And then the guy underneath him, Jonathan Mayer, was responsible for stuff for the Infamous franchise and the Uncharted games. And they all have really good music production. And so Sony, in my opinion, has this very interesting model, especially in Sony of America and Sony Europe, for having these really good production cycles in place. And that's something they have that Microsoft doesn't have as strong of.
I mean, it depends. Like, they've got some studios, but
Sure.
I mean, they more so partner up with people like Epic, for example.
Right.
And I mean, they did have Bungie, but they lost that. So.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like Microsoft is interesting because they don't really have a lot of their internal or even second-party studios as much as Sony does. Because Sony is not like Nintendo, but Sony has a decent amount of franchises and studio partnerships.
Have you heard about this rumor at all that supposedly Microsoft's looking to sell off the Xbox brand? I don't know if that was just kind of bullshit or what.
That would be surprising. I mean, honestly, I'm not mistaken, the Xbox division is actually profitable now for Microsoft. I'd be surprised. I'd say it's more likely that they'd be selling off the Windows Phone brand before they sell off the Xbox brand. But I don't know. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Steve Ballmer's been transitioning out as his position, and that sort of comes into play. But
I
I'm
would
not sure.
I would think they wouldn't, because really, in all fair honesty, the Xbox itself is kind of one of their big major selling consoles and their big selling products.
But you gotta also keep in mind though that all those consoles are also being sold at a loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
that's definitely the case. You know, the main thing here is that the big thing also about Microsoft and the Xbox is, if I'm not mistaken, the Xbox 360 by the time the PS3 was launched had a bit of a lead, but that every year since, for the most part, the PS3 was actually outselling the 360 worldwide overall, and most notably because of how well it was selling in Europe and Japan compared to the 360, which was pretty much a North American brand, of North American dominance.
Yeah, didn't the 360 tank in Japan for a long time?
It overall tanked, and it just didn't perform as strongly in Europe as the PS3 did.
And
So-
why most of the time when you go to Japan, that's why you don't see a lot of not Microsoft products, but Xbox games or really any players online from there. I mean, yeah, you'll see some, but not like a huge continent like, say, Europe or America.
Mhm.
Also, I know it's really late, but John, explain what Beautiful Joe 2 was. If the first one was he gets sucked into a movie, what's the plot in the second one?
He's still in the world, really.